maybe some of the content of the poetry might be uncomfortable for some people. If you feel uncomfortable at any point, then please feel free to take some time and tend to yourself. There's no pressure to stay. Also, if we can click our fingers at any point if you enjoy something that you hear, and refrain from clapping until the poets have finished their pieces. And there will be time for questions in between the poets as well. So, without further ado, if you want to introduce yourselves, you'll probably have to pass the mic on at some point, but sanitize the mic before. I'll give you this one. Yeah.
Hi, I am Safeera Ahmed, just a student of Edinburgh University.
Hello, I'm Jeehan Ashercook, and I'm happy to be performing here today. And I'll just pass the mic on.
Can you hear me? Oh, wow. Hey, my name's Tim Carlsen, aka Walkfish, and today's actually my debut performance on a live stage, so I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so Safeera will go first. Safeera Ahmed is an interdisciplinary artist and storyteller, building a community of living life intentionally in alignment with our most authentic selves through art. So please welcome Safeera.
All right, thank you for the introduction. Stand, I'm gonna stand. Right, so I have two poems here for you today. My first will be is called Dear Perfectionism. It's something I'm sure that all of you relate to as students, artists, people on this planet, and I hope you just really, really relate to it. Dear Perfectionism, why are you here? Why do you tear up my dreams, my thoughts of being seen, make me seem small? Small enough to not be able to catch the stars in the clouds or break the glass ceiling that you have weighed upon me. Dear Perfectionism, I know why you're here. I know that you're secretly afraid, that you don't want to get shamed, that being vulnerable means to get hurt, and you'd rather torment my mind with overthinking thoughts as a shield from the outside world. Dear Perfectionism, why am I here? I know it's not to ridicule over my own ideas, stand in my own way. I know that you don't define me, but you still deserve a place to be heard because you are still a part of me. Here, Perfectionism, I'm offering you space to let go, be free, and not be so worried. Yes, the world out there is scary, but what's more scary is using the voice that's meant to be heard and staying silent. Hear, Perfectionism, listen to my voice as I soothe your over-contemplation with my truth. Hush your hesitation. Silence your need for preparation with the formation of beautiful, delicate, powerful words strung together to create a harmony of truth. Powerful truth. Vulnerable truth. My truth. Because the reality is, is that I will fail, make mistakes and get hurt. I will fall to the ground, crumble at the sound of criticism, drown in the sea of humiliation. Dear perfectionism, I know you just want to keep me safe, but the biggest mistake is to live in fear, to not try and not dare to live this thing called life. Sorry, guys, I was just gasping at my friends walking into the room. Not just panicking right now on stage or anything. My second poem is called The Human Being's Deepest Need. To feel heard, the human being's deepest need. To feel the earth beneath your feet, but the world is miles away. And all that matters is the beauty in the stars and the sky that shine so bright in your eyes when you look into mine. And all that matters is the silence that's perfectly held at the tip of our tongues that intertwines into deep understanding. It's the river that flows from my heart, pouring into the bubble that surrounds us. Your still presence pushes away everything. And all that's left to be felt is peace. To feel heard is to have all your problems sucked into a singular drop into the ocean and watch the sun set instead. It's to have the sky finally open up to you and be held into the sunlight, to have warmth pour all over your body, patiently absorbing, to endlessly feeling enough. Enough. To feel heard is to have your soul touched, to be loved with no ties. It's when your eyes look behind my disguise and see and feel what my eyes have to hide. To feel heard requires no words, just love.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. I think personally I really relate to both those pieces. And there's such a sense of embodiment and connection with nature and yourself and respecting yourself and the emotions that you go through. So that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I was going to open the audience to questions, but I think we might be a bit short on time. So if anyone wants to just maybe shout out how they felt about the poetry, any quick comments, short comments, feel free.
It was incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we will move on to the next poet. Also, Ezra and Sanjay have joined us as well. Our next poet. This is my first time hosting. Sorry for the flappy papers. But the second poet is Jeehan. Jeehan Ashercook is a poet and translator currently undertaking a doctorate in creative writing at the University of Glasgow. Her poems have appeared in various publications including Cutter Magazine and Blue House Journal. She particularly writes lyrical and narrative poems largely focusing on ocean poetics, hybridity and bicultural experiences. She won first prize for the Voice of Peace Continental Anthology competition and was also a John Byrne Award Top 10 finalist. Jeehan.
So I'd like to open up with a translation of a poem that it's a project I've been working on during my master's, where I translated a selection of poems from an Andalusian poet known as Ibn Zaydin. So the thing that draws me a lot to his poetry is that he talks a lot about longing, and there's this theme of longing that goes side by side with belonging. So I'll read the original first. السلام إلى الغرب غريب بأقصى الشرق يشكر للصبا تحملها منه السلام إلى الغرب وما ضر أنفاس الصبا في احتمالها سلام هوى يهديه جسم إلى قلبي. Greetings to the West. A stranger in the Far East thanks the eastern wind for carrying his greetings to the West, its breath unburdened by bearing wistful greetings granted from a body to a heart. That's my first poem. My second piece explores further this idea of belonging and culture and custom and travel. So, Summer's End. The garden's iron gate, unbolted, grates open, laced with ivy spiralling round its bars. If only I could grip rooted to land like that. I always buy a one-way ticket in attempt to plant myself to the earth and stay, but I mistake soil for sand. Prized like a petal from its bud, I turn my head to peer between poles. Hibiscus bushes, oleander shrubs hide the house I'm looking for. There's a pail resting on a pebbled step. My mother now carries, pours with a splash, its water for a safe and blessed journey. An ancient farewell ritual of blessing wayfarers and sailors who travelled this beaten track, its beating waves. Water streams under the gate, down and along the pavement, filling a footprint on the cement. Water winds its way to sea while I am whisked away in a blue putty taxi to the port. Flowing, it follows me on the ride down the bay. I wonder whether all the brimming buckets and all the waters and blessings poured had filled the cavernous womb of the ocean that carries the ferry I embark on, gently rocked and swayed by waves and wind, waves that brush back from shore the motion and longing emotions, of all the waving hands where we stood together. Seawater sprays my face with salted droplets, like mother's tears when we embraced, and all the tears of dear ones on the fading hills. Mother, gloomy kisses down the garden path. They drizzle on my cheeks through the mist that carries mine back. I recite the sea prayer, and with it whisper others. They say prayers from travellers' lips rise answered. The words flap skyward, overheard by seagulls. In flocks, they fly without compass, and I wish I was just as certain of my journey's purpose, or otherwise dive from deck and swim back to port. But the depth discourages me. So on the gliding boat, I pray for her good health, to welcome me at the gate again, and pour her water when I leave at summer's end. And my last piece, this was a piece that won first prize for the poetry piece anthology, and it celebrates a common humanity. So, of dust. From the stardust we were moulded, to the edge of the world we were pushed. Watch the children under an olive tree caper, round and round, singing in a circle, their tongues set to many tunes. Notes doves collect from mouths, carry in beaks, to make nests atop a colourful collage of hands. Each arm rising as a branch laced into a wrinkled bunch, a trunk whose roots run deep into veins twisting at the wrists. Slit them, and shades of skin pour holy crimson. A river of the same Pantone flows through the soil. Burn them, and bones through flames flash talcum. Ashes fall onto dirt, dust, stuff flowers bud out of.
I really liked the image from the second poem, Summer's End, when with the buckets of water and the water flowing to the ocean, and also how that's like an ancient ritual to give blessings to the one who's leaving. And I guess like it's a powerful image to have like the water as a blessing that's supporting you throughout. So it's very lovely. Does anyone else have any quick comments again to make?
I love the contrast between the sort of joyful images of the children, but also the pain, the angst behind it as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next poet. We have Tim. Edinburgh-based Tim, also known as Wokefish, is a curious intro/extroverted soul. His writing explores a variety of different themes with words that hit differently. He's a big fan of bringing together the worlds of music and poetry whenever he can. His most recent work includes a commissioned spoken word short film, Remember, A Year of Uncertainty, based on his view and the world's experience with COVID-19. He got featured in Scottish Brain Writers Network magazine with his piece A Letter to Society, and he was a part of Sensing Stories, a Scottish storytelling centre initiative where me and Sanjay also took part in, where he later went on to perform his captivating Sand to Snow. What's next? Stay tuned. You can also check out his journey so far on his Instagram at IamWokefish or linktree/wokefish. Tim Wokefish.
Gotta judge this how far it's from. Let's see. So today, not yet. I'm going to be performing a piece which I wrote the 30th of June 2017 called Home, and I hope you enjoy it. What answer do you get when you ask a person, where is home? A structure, a town, a city, a country, or maybe a continent? Some might even say planet Earth. A weird answer, but a legit answer. Where home is a question not as straightforward as it may seem. Different paths and environments lead to a more holistic view of the term. If you were to ask me, I'll just say the city I was born in. Easy, simple, understandable. But in truth, not what I would consider home. It's not a lie, just my interpretation of the word. After moving countless times in life, the word has a very different meaning to me. There are more questions than answers. Ever heard the saying, home is where the heart is? Now picture this. You move from one place to another. Is the last place you lived home, or the new place? How long before the new place becomes home? Isn't the last place home when that happens? Isn't that maybe possible to have multiple homes? You see, more questions than answers. Let's go deeper. Hypothetically, if we all as the human race get moved and placed on a completely different planet somewhere else in the universe, and the inhabitants asked us, where is home? Without the details, what answer do you think either of us would give? Planet Earth. Easy, understandable, relatable. Only our descendants, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, our great-great-grandkids, and all those after them would consider the new world as their own, as home. Until countless generations later, the memory of our original home would be forgotten, lost in time. Here's a thought scenario. What if that is what happened to us? What if what we know and consider as home really isn't our original home? Perhaps it was forgotten, lost in time, just like our fake planet scenario. Let's take a step into the deep end now. When asteroids collide with planets and everything else, the fragments are splashed out into space across the stars in the infinite universe. The fragments would eventually collide into a planet, say perhaps Earth. The fragments could be carrying bacteria from the old host, now living in the new host, it flourishes. This process is called panspermia. So technically, we could actually have originated from somewhere else entirely different than Earth. We could be descendants of a different planet, somewhere else in another galaxy. Or maybe we came with the comet that wiped out the dinosaurs. Who knows? More questions than answers. But one thing is for sure, all hypothetical questions and theories until one is proven fact. So, where is home? I'm Motyka, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Wokefish, too.
Yeah.
That was very interesting and quite philosophical, I feel. I'd never questioned that myself, but it made me think. So, thank you. Does anyone else have, or maybe does anyone have an answer to that question? What or where is home? Yes.
It's where you feel the most comfortable and you feel the vibration of love, the purity of love, because I totally get it, which is that was so interesting because we don't question that to ourselves, you know? And I was born in one place, raised in another place, and that was a big question for me. Where is home? Where do I feel like home is? And realizing and learning that home isn't specifically a place, it's within.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the people that you're with in that journey. You know, it's not so much of the country or the continent. It's so much of you carrying the home everywhere you go and making that environment your home.
Yeah. Essentially, it's like the love that you carry within and that surrounds you as well. We're making us all think here too. Thank you. So, I'm just going to check where we are with time.
I love the music.
Yeah.
I felt like I was watching like Jurassic Park or something. And then you mentioned dinosaurs, I was like, perfect. Jurassic World, but Tim World. It's great. I don't have any music, sorry guys. I was late.
It's on the bus though. No.
Yeah, I left it on the bus, it's on the 113 so. I mean, the bus is cheaper here than Glasgow, that's nice. Well, maybe for you because you got lost, but not for me. It was £1.80, that's great. Sorry, not about the bus.
No worries. Next, we have Ezra Husain. Esraa is a non-binary, multi-ethnic creative writer, academic and freelancer based in Scotland. Esraa is currently working on a PhD research in Black Scottish writing, migrancy, political agency, and post-colonial theory at the University of Glasgow. Ezra is also working on the Curating Discomfort project at the Hunterian Museum. Their creative writings and photography have been featured in Qatar, Scottish Brain Writers Network, The Bottle Imp, Somewhere for Us, Call Journal, Causeway or Cabsair, and more. They are the founder and director of You Belong Glasgow, a multilingual community platform that features Black and people of colour, LGBT+, and disabled creatives. So please take it away, Ezra.
Hello everybody. Is it good like that? Is it good like that? With the, okay. It's been a while because of the pandemic and everything, so I haven't been on a stage for a really long time. And yeah, all three of you did really well. That's a lot of pressure now on us, right? Yeah, but I'm not gonna stand. That's one thing. I want to sit here comfortably next to my family. Yeah. So yeah, and Raheema, you're doing really well as well. Good job. Yeah. Yeah. Round of applause for Raheema. You put it all up. Like that's a lot of work. Yeah. So really proud of your work. Thank you. And thank you for including me as well. So for today, I got 3 short poems. The first one is in Arabic. That's my first language, and it's and I know I have a neighbor here. That was Fusha Arabic, but mine is in a Kuwaiti dialect, and I thought it would be more I would be more comfortable saying that. So I'll read it first and then maybe give you a weird summary or something. So, الغرباء هني وهناك. نتمشى كنا لنا الحق بالوجود. الحق إن ننتمي بداخلنا. وبغض النظر عن المكان من الكويت لاسكتلندا بين البينين. نعيش مع التغيير ونشيل الهوية الجندرية الميول الجنسي ونشيل أوصاف ما تنعد ولا تخلص ونتخلى عن القوة. بس اليوم هو اليوم ومو إلا نهتم. لازم نسعى ناخذ القوة نردها مكانها المكان اللي هو بداخلنا. شكرا. So this poem was part of a project called Mapping the Gender, and it's based in London. There will be like a live event next year sometime if the pandemic is season. And it's basically about belonging, which is a theme that all of us are talking about. Are you also talking about it? No pressure, sunshine. But yeah, I mean, it's something, we're thinking about home and belonging and identity. I mean, it's the Multicultural Festival, so of course all these intersections will come together. And I tried to translate it in a way, but I also worked as a translator. I find that whenever you try to translate something, some of the meaning or the value will be lost. It's just a fact, that's how it is. I mean, thinking about Arabic and then thinking about English, a lot of letters don't even have an equivalent. Starting with my own name, my last letter in Arabic doesn't exist in English. They just replace it with an A. But yeah, so I tried my best to translate it, and they called it A Stranger Here and There. And it goes like this. Walking as if they have the right to be, the right to belong to themselves. Regardless of location, from Kuwait to Scotland, betwixt and between, living within a flux, holding non-binary, transgender, lesbian, and queer. More labels to be counted and explored. More power to give away. But today, I am different, in a quest to take my agency back home, to where it should be, to myself. Thank you. And I feel that if I can say, I feel that it's connected to also the poems that my colleagues that just shared. Home is me. I am my home, and I feel it. It's my body, and it's okay to get uncomfortable, and it's okay to get scared. Home shouldn't be perfect. There's not a perfect home, and I feel like whenever I go, living as an immigrant, moving between Scotland, Wales, and England, wherever I am, I'm home, and that's my safety net. So that's home for me. Yeah. The last one is a short one. Don't want to bore you with more poetry, but so this one gonna be short and sweet, and it's a bit cynical. I don't know. You get to decide. So it's called 22 Hours in Edinburgh. Sometimes you find a leeway to exploit all my affection towards you, and sometimes I bleed. Thank you. That's Ezra. Everything. Yeah. Thanks.
They might ask you a question.
Yeah. Do you have any questions? I promise. I'm very friendly. Yeah, go. Take it over a little bit.
It's not really a question, but I just really like the poem because I understand Arabic. So I like hearing the poem in Arabic and then in English, because in your translation, you changed it a little bit. And I thought that was really interesting.
Thank you so much.
You changed it.
What kind of language do you know? Yeah.
I بتكلم Sudani.
Sudan, yeah. So a bit of Fusha, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Can I just ask how you have time to be here with your bio, man? You are busy. I thought I was busy. That's fab.
Yeah.
So
it's called high functioning anxiety. So thank you. Yeah.
You got one more poem.
Were they too short for you?
You'll get plenty from Sanjay. I'm sure they're lovely.
All mine are not about identity. They're all about elephants. So
We got dinosaurs here.
You got dinosaurs out. Sorry, we just kind of took it like a double.
It's good to hear. I actually wanted to ask more about the last one that you read out. Could you maybe talk about it a little bit?
A little bit, yeah, of course. I thought I should be deep and and just leave it to the audience, but it's basically about heartbreak, guys. So it's 22 hours in Edinburgh. It was a date that didn't last more than 22 hours, which is that's the normal thing for lesbian dating. And yeah, it didn't go well. It didn't go well. That was before the pandemic. So, and yeah, I was thinking about the person beside dating and romantic relationships, thinking about compatibility and what you look in a person when you're dating. And I was thinking of this theory, you can find it on YouTube. It's called the square and the circle. Have you heard of it? Yeah. The therapist is called Spirit. She's good, I promise you. You're gonna check it on YouTube. So basically what she says is that sometimes you can be the squirrel, the square, sorry, not squirrel, what I'm talking about. Sorry, it's the square and the circle. It's legit, I'm telling you, psychology, all right? Square and the circle, all right? So basically, with this poem, Raheema, thank you for your question. With this poem, it's about, so that person, the date was the square, and she had edges, and I was the circle inside the square, and I couldn't reach the edges of her circle. Does that make sense? I see people nodding. That gives me reassurance. But I mean, yeah, you can find it on YouTube. It's psychology. It's really interesting, and it makes you feel better about rejection, basically. So, yeah.
Thank you. That was very nice.
I've met too many squares in my life. Not met any subculture.
Gonna send you the next place.
Send me the link, yeah. I'll just cry on that. Sorry, I think Raheema has something else to say.
I was just gonna say, hearing the Arabic is very earthy, and it just feels so good just hearing. So thanks for sharing that book. And I will introduce Sanjay. Actually, I want to ask the pronunciation of your name then. Is it still like the way that I pronounced it, Ezra?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
So we have Sanjay. I will organize this better some other time. Sanjay Lago is a neurodiverse Gaysian actor and writer based in Glasgow who is passionate about visibility and balance within the arts industry. Sanjay, take it away.
Yay! So I'm going to mix them up. I had an order and I was like, I don't want to do that order anymore. So I thought we'll go serious, happy, serious. So the first one I'm going to read is called Can't Live Without It. I'm also going to do an Ezra and just sit down because I ran here because we got the wrong entrance. But I move about because I am an actor. So, Can't Live Without It. Because living in the UK, living in Scotland, I see my roots all around me. The scent of a curry, the colours of a sari, this island can't live without it. Creating dishes for the Western tongue, screwing a light bulb, patting a dog, asking constantly, but where are you really from? You take our words, you erase our history, you break our land. I'm not a mystery. But what I do know is that you can't live without it. Britain forever will be crawling on its knees to India, a country that is the Kohinoor in my heart, even if it's not the place that I did start. Number one. Okay, let's go happy now. This is called Walk with Pride. Waving the flag high when the streets sprinkle with glitter, hiding under the sheets at home, the unapproving gaze does not flicker. Standing tall amongst friends, proud of the steps I make, yet crawling back under the rock within my community, a backward step I take. Taboo to speak out, the younger should never raise their voice, but my feet wish to walk with pride, to bring shame, there is no choice. Stand tall with those who accept what they see, the tribes we are destined to meet. The loved ones are standing close to me, with pride I walk on these feet. So my final one is called You Didn't Say Anything. So this was a poem that came about. So when the Paris attacks happened in Paris, obviously, I was on my way to work in Glasgow. I used to work at the King's Theatre in Glasgow. I resigned 3 weeks ago because of racism. It was great. 6 years I did it. And also I sent them a resignation email that wasn't a paragraph long. My resignation email was a 4.5-page Google Doc. Racism was a page and a bit. To the point where my email went to the director of the company. So if you ever want to be racist to me, you're going to get a long email, just saying. But when I was on my way to work, have you ever been, who's been in the Glasgow subway, that wee Pringle tube, who's been in it? It's really tiny. So I was standing, should we reenact this real quickly? Right, come on. Right, so actually you stay there, right? And then you're going to come where Raheema, you're going to come at me, right? So just walk towards me, but
I'm reading something, I just want
yeah, so, yeah, put your jacket on.
The subway.
So,
Alright.
so basically, I'm just waiting to get off at St George's Cross, and this guy comes at me, so just come at me, don't say anything, right? Say it. And he says to me, your people caused Paris to fall back to where you came from, blah blah blah, so he's spitting at me. Now, go back a bit. Right? Now, that didn't bother me as much. What did bother me was this woman sitting here who just put a newspaper up to her face and ignored it all. And in my head I was like, you could have said something. There was 2 of us here and that one person, you could have said something. You didn't say anything. So we could sit back down, you can put your paper down, Tim. And I didn't report it, I didn't do anything because I felt alone and I felt scared. And what annoyed me more was, it made me think of all the times when people don't say anything when they can. Yeah, it's scary, yeah, I get that. Yeah, you don't want to say anything, but think about the ones that are getting me attacked, the ones that have the lived experience of racism, just say something, even say, excuse me. That's all you need to say, oh. Just say something, make some sort of noise that makes them go, whoa. But they didn't say anything, and I think that's what this poem came about from, and it was me and my friends, we kind of sat and spoke about all the things that we've been through where people didn't say anything. So it's no happy, just so you know. Have you ever wondered about those who don't say anything? He came charging at me, but you sat there in silence. Do you know how scary it is when you feel all alone? You didn't say anything. I take the punches, the pain, I try to ignore it in vain. In a small space I am confined, as you walk away leaving me behind. She ripped off my turban as I walked to my bus stop. Do you know how it feels to feel so small? And you didn't say anything. I take the taunts, the jive, I try to ignore the nasty vibes. In such a vulnerable place I stand, as you watch not giving a supportive hand. He spat all over my food, but you gawped at me like it was okay. Do you know the strains I feel when I already am not eating much, and yet you didn't say anything? I take the starvation to feed the younger generation in a place where food should not be an issue. I am deprived of wiping these tears with a tissue. She told me to fuck off back to a land unknown, but your voice stayed silent like the dead ringtone. Do you understand that I know no one else is home? And you didn't say anything. I take the abuse and the short fuse, but for these words there is no excuse, as you let them win and you watched me lose. You didn't say anything. Why? Why? You watched me cry, you watched me burn. How can this be any type of fun? I'm tired of asking for your help. You obviously must be blind to what I need. A helping hand, a supportive friend, telling me that this is not the end. But you sat there in silence and enjoyed the view, as I constantly wished there was an angel voice that was you. But sadly, you didn't say anything. My drama school even videoed it and put it on their website. It's great. Thanks for being.
I don't know if it's working. That was powerful. And it also I feel like your poetry is really expressive with your experiences. And do you feel like that using poetry is your way of also reflecting on what's happening, healing, and just having a voice when you maybe felt like you couldn't in that moment?
Yeah, it's weird for me. So I would never have called myself a writer or a poet until the pandemic. So even though the pandemic was bad, I'm not saying it was good, there was good things that happened. I met these lovely people through the social media. I'm a 90s child. I never even got a smartphone until I was like 20. I was like people, MSN, back in the day when your mum used to use the phone. Yeah, Mum, on MSN. So I wouldn't call myself a writer because I always worried about being dyslexic. And I was told in school that I was thick and stupid and I would never get a degree. I do have one now, I've got an undergrad. And I think for me, poetry does help, but also playwriting as well. So I just finished my first play with Soho Theatre in London through their Writers Lab, a play called Jalebi. Does everybody know what a jalebi is?
Yes.
And again, that's my story, but through a character. So poetry is the part where it's 100% Sanjay, but playwriting is where it's like, ooh, Sanjay in the background. But I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the pandemic. I wouldn't have the competence to do my poetry. So yeah, thanks Corona. It's such a weird thing to thank her for, ain't it? Making me a writer. But also, I think the other thing that really inspired me to write was, I don't see South Asians in the arts world, in the writing world, especially Scottish South Asians, because you get a lot of like international Asians coming here, which is great, not saying no to them, but I don't see myself represented through as a Scottish Asian, and that's what inspired me as well, because I'm like, oh, there's a gap in Motyka at Waterstones, I could be on the shelf there, so we'll get there one day. So I think that's the other thing that kind of drives me to write poetry, is for younger generations to see that they are represented in this as a career, because also within our cultures we don't get pushed to go into the arts. Like, I was going to go become a translator because I spoke 7 languages, can't even remember French. All I remember when I went to Paris was bonjour, ça va, un chocolat chaud et croissant s'il vous plaît. For 4 days all I ate was croissants and hot chocolate. So I would never have made it as a translator, but I made it as an actor. ? Bollywood style to call me. But yeah, I think that's the main reason I write, is just to show other younger generations that this is an industry for them to come into. It ain't easy, you'll be stacking shelves in Asda maybe for a week, but it is a career path and it's a brilliant one. Because hey, I get to meet all of you with Jurassic Park.
Too right. I like the answer.
Sorry, I do comedy as well, as you can tell. I'm not naturally funny, it just comes out.
There's space for that here, don't worry. I'm really enjoying this kind of energy. So thanks, everyone. That is our last piece of poetry, but comments, yes.
Thank you for that. That was amazing. And I related so much because actually interesting, I had a similar experience. I took my 2 little niece to a park, and one of the youngest ones, she was 2 at the time, she loves dogs, so she just goes and she starts to play with this little dog that was in the park. And the woman, it was like an older man and this girl, I'm sure she was just in her 20s, they were so like rude, right? Don't touch the dog or whatever. And she was a 2-year-old child who just loved the dog. So trying to explain that to them, and they went off on one, arguing with me. So I'm like in the middle of trying to calculate how do I respond to these 2 people fighting against me, one person because I'm defending a 2-year-old for just touching her dog. And the interesting thing was when I decided to exit the situation, because I'm like, I have 2 children. If I was on my own, this would be a different story. I have 2 children that I need to take care of. It's not about me. It's the fact that everybody in the park then came to speak to me after. It was like, oh, just racist people, sometimes people. And for a second, I did say, and I was like, you all watched me. You all sat there, watched me against 2 people, argue with me, and plus I have 2 children. Y'all could have came and said, do you want me to take the kids or something? So I think it is, that is a big problem. It's a massive issue, and not just in race, but just in general. You know, like just a day ago, I was in a shop and this poor man couldn't afford to buy everything he wanted to buy. He wanted to just get this extra packet of sweets, and the shopkeeper was like, no, I'm not giving it to you. He was missing however much. And I was like, I will pay for it. But for a second there, I was like, what are humans turning into? You know? Like, we can't. I don't know what that man wanted the sweet for. Maybe he has a child and he just wanted to buy it for the child. Maybe for himself, for energy boost. Who knows? But it is the point of, there is a lot that as human beings in society, we sit back and watch and tolerate that is not okay. You see someone being treated wrong, there isn't such thing as you should, there's not thought process. You see something wrong being done, call it out, you know. And I understand sometimes there is fear in people as well, because also that's the other perspective of, do we expect others to react the way that we would react in that situation, you know. So there's that expectation as well, where other people do carry so much fear and they don't know how to react in certain situations. But it's also an issue that does really need to be approached internationally between just people.
Yeah, and I've gone on. I'm loud enough anyway. I think one of my things also, so what that poem also, yeah, put it there, because I might like get, I talk with my hands, I might throw it, and then attack from a then I'll be in jail in Edinburgh. So I think the other thing that poem did for me was, in my second year, I created a show called Goodbye Colour, which the director of the drama school called me out for being racist. So basically, Goodbye Colour was an easy show to do because I recreate racist attacks that have happened to me, but I get the audience to play the attacker. Wow. But there's also a bit in that show where I turn myself white, which was the part they thought was racist. And I literally, so I had two sitars at the back, and I'm on my knees like that, covered in white paint, on my arms and my face and my neck, and I stay there, I look straight ahead, and my friend Helen goes up to each audience member with a bowl of wipes and says, do you accept Sanjay for who he is? And if they say yes, they take a wipe and they come and wipe me back to being brown. And that was a director who hadn't even came to see the show, and I didn't break at all. I stayed I stayed like still for the good 20 minutes, and it wasn't until my brother and mum and dad came, the three of them started crying on me as they were wiping me back. And I think for me, that poem also represents that I'm fourth generation here, but we're still not accepted. Yeah. And the world has this whole country has so much to do. Yeah. And Wales has just announced that they're going to teach Black, Asian, ethnic minority history in schools, which I'm 28, why has that not been happening anyway? Yeah. I didn't find out about partition until I was maybe in my teens, but that was through my grandparents. And it was today's generation, through Doctor Who, found out what partition was 72 years later. So this country has so much to catch up on. And my other issue is, and I'm just going to say it's controversial, we need to stop looking to American history, because by looking at American history, we're brushing British history under the carpet, which erases East Asian history, South Asian, Middle Eastern history, because we're just looking at America. Yes. Look at this country, and then all our experiences will be heard. And I always say that it's not about America, it's us. Because this country is outside America, and this country ripped up so many countries. And now look where it is, not getting petrol. Yeah, true. Nando's is closing everywhere. See, people of colour, we love our chicken, I like our veggies.
And you're right about not looking into the American history. That is a big thing.
It's so different.
You know, we look at times, I hear people, it's not that racist in the UK. It's not that bad here. And it's like, no, actually, at times it's just as bad. It's just not seen. That's the only difference. It's not seen. So because it's not seen, we automatically assume these issues are not there.
I mean, I shave twice a week because if I even have a bit of stubble going to work, not genuinely, people don't sit next to me in the bus, which is great with Corona times because I'm like that. But you do feel really like, what have I done?
Yeah.
I can't change my face, even though sometimes it's nice to get a nose job. But the way I dress, I don't wear hoodies. no offense to hoodies. But again, people don't sit next to on the bus. If you have a bit of stubble in a hoodie, I was like, wow. So yeah, this country just annoys me, even though I'm born here. Like, sorry to Britain, but I'm not sorry.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. It really touched me how, at times we can watch, and this is just like our own even individual journey. Like, how many times in society have you also as an individual seen something done and you did not step in or do something about it when you know you could? You know, it is about us as individuals helping each other build that inner voice to say, no, this is wrong, and it's okay to say that this is wrong. People are afraid for certain privileges to be taken away from them the minute they speak out when something is wrong, and these issues do need to be approached, you know, because the minute, when I was a child, I used to think, how come we have problems? If everybody in the world just helped everybody, wouldn't we just have less problems? The problems are actually in society are created by us. Because if we were as individuals going out of our way to be fixing these issues, we will have less issues in the world to be facing. Because it's not the world, it's the people in the world that are creating the issues. So thank you so much.
My poems, I had even more like angrier poems, but I decided to go a bit happy. So you got one serious one, but yeah, I was, when Raheema was like, think of poems, I was like, ooh, what will the audience be like? Ooh, what do I go for? Do I go, ah, do I go, ooh, something about ow in the middle? So maybe next time I'll go a bit more,
Yes.
Then maybe a whole different audience of like, who are you? Sorry, I do talk a lot, can you tell?
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you as well for sharing that. And I'm sorry that you had to experience that with everything.
But in a way, I'm not sorry in a way, because I feel like it educates me and it makes me stronger against those people. So in a way, even though they do annoy me at the time, they do upset me, looking back at them, I feel stronger, and at the end of the day, I am like, well, it's not me that's there, it's them. And also, I speak English. I'm born here. That's the other thing, I love the eyes and people like looking, they're like, oh, he's going to talk like this, or he's going to talk like that. And then you open your mouth and they're like, whoa, he's Glaswegian. So it's like, I love that. Like, it's because even with maths, you just see the eyes now. So it's like, oh, where's he from? Yeah, Glasgow.
Yeah, you're right. I think, although the experiences are unfair, unfortunate, it seems like you've had the chance through them to develop a stronger sense of yourself and a trust and a more kind of grounded sense of like, this is who I am. And yeah, I think you're embracing it as well. Thank you for your energy, and thank you all the poets. Do you want to quickly maybe share if there's anywhere we can find your work? Yeah. Maybe we can go right. Hi.
I'll go first because then you don't hear me again. I'm on Twitter. I'm Sanjay Lago, Sanjay. Lago, basically like Lego, but without the E with an A. So Sanjay Lago, I'm on Twitter and I tweet a lot there.
You should follow him, he's great. And if you want to see more of his poetry, he's also performing in You Belong with Tim as well. You Belong is the platform that I run. It's you, just a little you, making it jazzy a little bit. Belong in Glasgow. You can find everything there.
Where can I find you?
So it's, You Belong, that's the handle. So find it on Facebook, Instagram, think of him. That's, I'm away from Twitter because it can be traumatic, so.
For me, if you just go onto Instagram and then type in I am Wokefish, that's W-O-K-E fish, as in fish and chips. So I am Wokefish, you'll find me on Instagram, got a bunch of stuff there. You click on the bio and then you find all the other stuff I've done. And also I'll be at You Belong as well, and also be with Raheema and Sanjay this month You can talk about that if you want.
plug, yeah. So we are part of, is it still Sensing Stories or is it called something else now?
It's still sensitive.
Open Hearth. I think in the email it said something like Open Hearth. Anyway, we are...
Open Hearth? What have we done?
We, Sanjay and Tim, will be performing at the Scottish Storytelling Centre on the 29th of this month.
7:30 p.m.
Is it 7:30?
So we need to be there for 6, but you need to be there for 7:30.
Okay, 7:30 then.
We will be performing our stories, so please join. Yes. You said
Yeah, that's my plug.
You could find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is jeehan.asher, so JEEHAN, Asher, .asher, ASHER. I don't tend to post my works on Instagram, but you could find my works on the journals or magazines in which they appear. So platforms like Gutter magazine, like Blue House Journal, yeah.
Hi. You can find me on Instagram at truly Safeera, truly just being the word truly, TRULY, and Safeera, SAFEERA. And if you like the sound of this voice, I also have a podcast called Truly Being, just the words Truly Being, on Spotify and any platform that you listen to audio to. And yeah.
Thank you. Round of applause for the poet. And everyone involved. Thank you so much. And the organisers. That is that.